I'm Paul Glover, the No BS Workplace Legacy Coach. And I'm here today to talk to you about the top 5 trends in the future of work. By now, every employer is aware that the pandemic and the Great Resignation has forever shattered the status quo of the old normal of how and where work would be performed. The Great Resignation is an indication of the dissatisfaction that employees have with that old status quo, old normal. The realization of 40% of the workforce that they can work from anywhere, whether it be home, a different state, or in a hybrid situation, coming to work only 2 or 3 days a week, has caused there to be a realization that autonomy and flexibility, as well as a different relationship with their employer, is the requirement for additional engagement and retention. So these 5 trends that an employer needs to be aware of if they want to maintain the talent that they have and also attract the talent that they're going to need to move forward as the new workplace and the future of work evolves. And trend number 1 is extraordinary just because it's currently doing what it intended to do. The pandemic actually increased the amount of automation and artificial intelligence that is doing more work in the workplace. In fact, artificial intelligence and automation is predicted to replace 70% of the duties that managers currently perform. Amazingly, that 70% are all administrative duties that have little to do with engaging with the workplace, the employees in the workplace, and hoping to encourage them to be more engaged and to give discretionary effort. This trend, which has already started and is in motion, will increase within the next couple of years and cause a complete redefinition of the work and time of all managers. Trend number 2 is work will be done by autonomous and self-directed work teams. Interestingly enough, employees have discovered, because of the pandemic, that they want flexibility, radical flexibility, to be able to perform work from any place at any time, rather than restricted by office space and a 9-to-5 job. This is actually good for the employer because being able and being empowered to select when and where an employee does the work actually increases profitability by 21% and engagement by 40%. These autonomous and self-directed work teams are the future of how work will be performed. They give the employees what they want. Again, radical flexibility, empowerment, and autonomy that will keep them engaged and will give the employer the results that they want, not based on time. Time equals results is no longer the criteria. The criteria is results. How they are performed, how they are reached, is now going to be dictated by the employees, still giving the employer what they need, what they want, within the time frame that they need and want it, but done entirely determined by the self-directed work teams that give the employee, that meet the employee's needs. Trend 3, managers will be replaced by subject matter experts. 82% of the time, employers select employees to be managers who are not qualified and ultimately fail in their position. In fact, the shocking statistic is that managers suffer from the same lack of engagement as the employees they manage. Gallup, which has kept 20 years of employee and managerial engagement surveys, show that employees and managers are only 36% engaged. The remaining group of employees and managers are either only doing enough to not get fired, or for 14% of both those categories are actively disengaged, which means that they are toxic and they are creating toxic work environments that drive off those employees who are required, the talent of every organization. So yes, these managers will be replaced by subject matter experts. These self-directed autonomous teams will exist, and they will call when they need any of these categories, the subject matter experts that will be on call to come and resolve their issues. For instance, if a mediator is needed because of conflict between team members, they will be summoned through the HR department, arrive, resolve these issues by working with the employees that are having the difficulty. If there's training needed, if career needs to be discussed, anything that the employee needs to make sure that they remain engaged and productive will be provided by the subject matter experts. No longer will managers be in control of employees or employee engagement. This is a good thing for both employees who will have their needs met and the employer who will see an increase in engagement and productivity. Trend 4, managers and leaders' compensation will be connected to sustainable increases in employee engagement. Why not? Why hasn't this already been done? If the magic elixir is increased employee engagement, and the research shows that engagement, 70% of employee engagement is connected to their relationship with their manager and their leader, and the level of engagement remains pathetically in the high 30s, whose responsibility is it to increase sustainable employee engagement? Obviously, it is the managers of those employees and the leaders of those teams. But once we've established who's accountable, therefore they're responsible, how are we going to get them to focus not on the 70% of the administrative tasks that eat up their day, but on the need to engage the employees and to make sure that their needs are met so that they will become even more engaged. I think this is a no-brainer. It hasn't happened yet, but it definitely is on the horizon if employers are realistic about increasing employee engagement, which is the magic elixir for the future. And tip 5, companies will treat employees as stakeholders. There's an ongoing debate about what the purpose of the corporation is. Is it to satisfy solely the shareholders' needs, as well as the managers and leaders who run the corporation? Or in fact, must corporations realize that their purpose is to engage all stakeholders, and the primary stakeholder is their employees? This change in perspective is being forced by employees who are as mad as hell and they're not going to take it anymore. So by looking at the employees as stakeholders, employers will see the need to treat them as partners and listen to what they have to say, hear their voice because they have one, And also understand that there must be a meeting of the needs of the employees if, in fact, they want them to remain engaged, productive, and stay. The change in perspective generated by the pandemic and the Great Resignation makes all of these 5 trends absolutely essential for employers to not only be aware of, but to also participate in. This is Paul Glover, the workplace legacy coach, saying this is the future of work.